Welcome back to another episode of the Talk Sox Minor League Podcast. I'm your host, Nick, and I'm planning to cover all things minor league baseball within the Red Sox organization, from the Fenway Greens to sunny Fort Myers and everything in between this season. This week's episode begins with some big news for the Red Sox organization, as promotion season seems to have begun. Both Enddy Azocar and Luke Heyman, two players that I've been high on since before the start of the season. I wrote a couple articles about them in the offseason. If you haven't read them, I would check them out on the Talk Sox site. I wrote about them being potential breakout prospects. And with it, like Enddy Azocar, I've been on his case. No, or I guess I shouldn't say case. I've been on the hype train for Azocar since I learned about him and learned more about the type of player he is and could become. He was definitely one that I wrote, I can't say a lot. I wrote a decent-sized article about him in the offseason about why he could end up being the next big Red Sox breakout prospect, mainly because of his potential power. And with it, this kid, when I say he has the chance to have tremendous power, he does, because it's shown through his 90th percentile exit velocity, which was, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I believe it was either one of or the highest for his age in minor league baseball. Like, it rivaled, I believe, Roman Anthony's from when he was playing in low A. And with it, like, this kid, like he's only 19 years old this year, and he's handled the pitching very well in low A for 2026, especially after 25, where it looked like he struggled. But he didn't really struggle too much. It's just the hits were not falling. He didn't strike out too much. He walked. His biggest issue last year was that he was hitting the ball too often into the ground, especially for someone with his power. He has to get it airborne, get it up into the air, especially pull side. You know, the Red Sox love to see that. Well, this year he showed that he could adjust to the pitching at just 19 years old, which I believe it's almost a year and a half younger than the average player in low A. I'd have to double check that. But with it, in 39 games, he goes on to hit 295 with a 344 on base. Sorry about that. And a 530 slugging. He hits 15 doubles. He gets 3 triples, 6 home runs, 26 RBIs. And like I said, he's a year and a half younger than the average player in the Carolina League. And not only that, but the fact that he has 15 doubles and 6 home runs when he's playing at Salem, which their home park is known for being very pitcher friendly. Like, it is not good for offensive players. You look at Roman Anthony, I think he hit something like 230 when he was with Salem. Like, it's just not good for offense. But, like, despite that, you know, he hits 15 doubles, 6 home runs. He's hitting almost 300. And now he gets to take his talents up to Greenville, or I guess technically down to Greenville because it's below Salem. You get the point. Anyway, he gets to go to a much more hitter-friendly league. Only thing is, I don't know where he's going to get the playing time from. If I'm being honest, like, the team already has 3 quality outfielders in Justin Gonzales, Isaiah Jackson, and Yophery Rodriguez. I probably butchered his name. I'm so sorry. Yophery? I don't know. But anyway, the 3 of them, they've been getting the bulk of the outfield playing time. So I don't know where Azocar is going to slide into. Makes me wonder if maybe this is the chance the organization takes to move Gonzales from right field and put him at first base. Gives them the excuse. I mean, when Gonzales was playing in the Dominican Summer League, he was playing first base. But since he came stateside, he's mainly been playing right field, with the exception of 1 game in Greenville this season. But point being, he has not played it all too much. And I wonder if this is their excuse to get him more playing time at first base. Though then it comes at the expense of, like, Jack Winay and Fraile Encarnacion, which, you know, eventually some of these kids are going to lose playing time. It's just how this game works. It's unfortunately a very tough sport to stay in. And when you're competing against your own teammates for playing time, it just gets really tough. Like, again, outfield-wise, I don't know where Azocar is going to get the playing time, but he needs to get it. Like, the kid's 19 years old. You're not bringing him up to high A just to sit him on the bench. You want to get him in the lineup as much as possible. Like, this kid is athletic, and his power potential is real. Like, genuinely, I think if he continues to progress, he could become a very, like, strong middle-of-the-order bat Of course, that also depends on how his hit tool develops. That's a major part of it too. But point being, the power alone is what makes me want to see him in the lineup every day. And not only that, but he's actually pretty decent in center. Like, I think he could be even better than what he is, but right now he does not hurt you in center, and I think that's where he's going to stick long term, which is why it's important that they develop him and they don't waste time sitting him on the bench. Like, this kid is young. You have to keep him in the lineup. But the problem is, as I mentioned, you have to keep Gonzales, Jackson, and Rodriguez in the lineup as well. You can't sit any of them. So now what? Do you put one of them at... Do you put Gonzales at first base? Well, now who's going to sit between Winne and Encarnacion? Because whoever's not playing first is going to be playing third base. But the problem with that, like, maybe you could put whoever isn't playing at DH. Well, now what happens to one of Mason White, Henry Godbelt, and Cespedes? Like, one of those three would have to sit now. Like, Greenville, when it comes to their position players, is in a very tough but good situation. It's just what it is. I'm looking forward to Azocar, and I think if he gets the playing time in Greenville, could make a push to get a late season promotion to Portland, just like how Franklin Arias did last year. Which, by the way, little side note, Franklin Arias' power seems to be back. Between Friday and Saturday, he hit 3 home runs, which is a pleasant development because he was starting to cool off. Hopefully this is a sign that he is not going to go into a long slump like he did last year, and instead he's showing that he's ready to knock on the door of AAA. If we're lucky, you never know. As for the other player who was brought up to Greenville, Luke Heyman, he's another guy that I was high on. I like his offensive potential as a catcher / first baseman. They got him in the offseason for Alex Hopp. If you don't remember, Hopp was a guy who had a fastball-slider combination. Fastball could top out in triple digits, but his accuracy was not always there. His command needed work. With the Red Sox, Hopp was never going to make the majors unless there was like a slew of injuries, which I just could not see happening. And because of that, Breslow, he didn't want to lose him for nothing in the Rule 5 draft, so he trades him to the Mariners, and he gets a young catcher who helps overhaul the catching room in the minor leagues. Like the Red Sox, they overhauled it a lot. They had issues with their current batch of catchers. Heyman was one of them that they went out and they got. And offensively, he's appeared in 36 games at Salem. Like he's shown he's got power, and he's shown that he can walk. The only problem is he's not striking out a lot, which is a good thing, but a lot of his hits aren't falling. And I think as the season goes along, I think maybe you see those hits start to fall in a little bit more. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I haven't watched him much. I haven't seen much of Salem. Salem is kind of hard for me to watch at times because, one, I'm usually paying attention to like Portland or Worcester or Greenville. And two, I understand they're low A, so the quality's not going to be as good, but the cameras are just, it makes it hard to watch. But point being, in 36 games, he has walked 31 times, and I believe he struck out 36, so it's pretty much he's striking out once a game, which isn't too bad, especially since he walked nearly the same amount. Home runs, same thing. He hit 6, just like Azocar, when he was playing in a pitcher-friendly league and ballpark. And overall, he had a .218 average, .383 on-base percentage, and a .420 slugging, which, as I mentioned, I believe his low average could be partially from poor luck and partially from how he's hitting the ball into play. Because, even though he's putting it in play, if he's hitting .218, he's probably got a low batting average for balls in play. It's probably the angle that he's hitting the ball. Very likely, I would assume either he's hitting it more as a pop-up into the air, or he's not getting enough on it, or there's also the possibility he could be just chopping it down into the ground. I'm just taking guesses here. But, he seems like, honestly, someone who could benefit from a change in the league. Like, he goes up to Greenville, and I think his numbers could improve even more. Though, much like Azocar, I don't know where his playing time is coming from, because, right now, Greenville has 4 active catchers, not including him, Including him, that would be 5. And there's no way they're keeping all 5 because there's Gerado Rodriguez, Adonis Guzman, Ronny Hernandez, who they got from the White Sox, and Hudson White. Like, all 4 of these, like, I don't know where the playing time is going to come from. Though, I mean, if I had to make a guess, one guy who is going to lose playing time, and I hate to say it because you'd like to see what he can do, Hudson White. He's only appeared in 10 games this season, and he hasn't been playing all too well. And that's after, again, you hate to say it, but a poor showing in 70 games last year, where he hit 188, 269, 283. Of course, with Hudson, he's been known as a defense-first catcher, and that's what he is. That's what he wants. That's what the Red Sox like in him. Yeah, one sec. I got to turn this down. So unprofessional of me. I apologize. But that was blinding me. Where was I? Oh, yeah. So, White, I just think he's going to be the odd man out. I mean, he just does not hit very well. And even if you are a defense-first catcher and your defense is amazing, you have to hit somewhat. And Heyman, he shows he can hit, even if it hasn't translated into good numbers. I mean, of course, as we mentioned, his biggest area of concern is making consistent contact that is good contact. But, thanks to his power and eye, it's allowed for some hope that he can put it all together. And it's given him some leeway, because when he does make contact, the ball is hit hard. He just has to do it consistently. And on top of that, it's not like he's chasing often, because it appears he has a good understanding of the strike zone. So there's stuff to work with him. Though, this is where it brings up my other question, where I guess not question, but my thoughts on this is, instead of moving Gonzales to first, what if they move Heyman to first and get him some work there? Because even going back to when he was in college, he had a good arm, and he was viewed as a decent catcher, but there was no confirmation that he was going to stick at the position long term. There was worry that he was going to end up getting moved to first. And that could happen. Like, they could start to see him splitting his time between first, catcher, and DH. Because maybe they want to see how he handles at both. I mean, as it is, it's very similar to what they did with Brooks Brannon before he went up to Portland. Because Brooks has not played catcher once this year. He's been mainly first base. And at this point, I don't think he's going back to catcher. Though, I will say with Heyman, unlike Azocar, I think he sticks at a high A Greenville for the rest of the season. I just don't think he gets promoted from here. I think he finishes the whole year, or I can't say whole year, the remainder of the year here in Greenville. Though, one other player when speaking of Greenville, we have Kyson Witherspoon, who, in my opinion, had his best professional start. His last time out, he tossed 4 1/3 innings and struck out 6. But I will say what's the most important aspect of that game is that he led all of high A with 19 whiffs. The 4 1/3 innings tied his second longest start, which was beat only by his previous outing, where he went 4 2/3 innings, but he allowed 4 runs on 6 hits. This time around, he allowed just 1 run on 2 hits, and this was easily his most consistent start since April 10th, which is a positive sign because Witherspoon had some up and down outings between now and April 10th, so it's good to see this, because in my opinion, he's had some issues with the transition to professional baseball, and I feel like it's just very much growing pains, and once he gets more accustomed to it, he'll be fine. I mean, he had 2 years of pitching in the NCAA, which, yes, 2 years is a lot. Some pitchers, they don't get that much, but still, he's still in a learning phase, because, I mean, you got to remember, his first year in college, he was pitching at a JUCO. And I think once Witherspoon starts to learn more about the professional game, and he starts to get things down and he settles in, I think we're going to see the pitcher that is closer to the one he was last year in college, the one that made him a first-round selection. Because let's face it, it is never fun to see a first-round pick take his time and struggle. And I wouldn't say Ianson is struggling. I'd say he's caught in this developmental phase of his career. Because not everyone gets it right away. Not everyone is like Ianson, who just comes out and is pitching like no one else can beat him. Witherspoon has shown flashes that he is a first-round talent, and I believe he is a first-round talent. I just think we're going to see him take a little bit longer than Ianson. A lot of people thought Witherspoon could go flying through the organization this year. I was one of them. I thought maybe he gets to AAA at the end of the year. Maybe he's the one that is the Tolley of this season and he gets brought up to Boston. But I don't think that's going to happen now. I think what's going to happen is Witherspoon will finish the year with Portland, but I don't think it's going to be going up anytime soon. I think he's going to end up in Portland somewhere in July, maybe. I think honestly, it really comes down to when guys like Wehunt, Mullins, even Dalton Rogers and Hollabets, I think when those guys all start getting moved up to AAA, I think is when we're going to see like Witherspoon go up to Portland. I mean, the Red Sox now, they move their guys quick. In the past, you'd see the whole year at high A, but now they're probably going to want to see him in double A before the end of the year. That's just how the Red Sox are this year. And again, like I said, entering the season, we thought he could be in Worcester by the end of the year, even in Boston, but that's now wishful thinking. Especially with someone like Witherspoon, you don't want to rush him and ruin his development. Like, you want him to get comfortable in the minors, and you want to move him when he is ready and when you feel he is ready. And also, this year there has been a trend that the South Atlantic League has had a lower quality of pitching than like it usually does. And because of that, it's led to some question marks about the offensive like years that these kids are having. Because, I mean, a lot of the hitters on the drive are having great offensive seasons. And not to take anything away from them, they've worked their asses off to get to this point and to be as good as they are. But, I mean, you have Cespedes, you have Mason White, Godbelt, Rodriguez, Gonzales. All of them are having outstanding seasons. And you start to wonder, is it because they're this good and they've developed this well? Or is it because of the quality of pitching and them playing in a park like Fluor Field where it's very hitter-friendly? And on top of that, you can only promote so many guys because of roster space. Like, all 5 of these hitters are making a case for themselves. And you can only have so many because, I mean, Portland, who are you going to send down, or who are you going to take playing time from to bring these guys up? You know, it's just a little bit crazy in a sense. Like I said, you know, and then it makes you wonder, like, as I mentioned, how much of this is because of the player and how much is because of the level of competition? Like, if we promoted any of these guys up to Portland right now, would they still be hitting just as well? I mean, Rodriguez, he brings that question up to mind because right now, he is doing exactly what he did last year. And I'm not trying to badmouth him. I don't want to talk poorly of him because I think he can be a great player. But he needs to be more consistent. Last year in April, he gets off to a hot start. This year in April, he gets off to a hot start. And then in May, he cools down. Last year, Rodriguez hits 155 with a 276 OBP and a 262 slugging. This year in May, he hits 203 with a 264 on base and a 422 slugging. Like, it's just, is this how he is as a player? Does he get hot and he gets cold? Is he a very streaky hitter? Or, like, what is it? Like, yes, he opened April really hot, and a lot of people thought, oh, this is the player who he can be. But then it leads to the question, is it because of the level of competition and pitching that he's facing? Or is he just is he just an inconsistent player? Of course, this kid is young, and it's way too early to get down on him. I mean, look at Cespedes last year. He was awful offensively, and this year he's turned it around. So you can't really give up on a player too quickly. The one thing I want to note is he actually hits better when he's on the road. Like, he's hitting 290 on the road compared to 227 when he's at home. Like, makes you kind of wonder what kind of hitter he will be. And since Fluor Field looks exactly like Fenway, is that like a sign that he is not going to hit well at Fenway Park because of the dimensions? Just Just some food for thought. I think I said that right. I don't know. Uh, but I mean, of course, you think about this, and Rodriguez, huge part of the Priester trade, and you need him to show more consistency. You need him to show that this trade was worth it, and it's not a wash for both sides. I mean, Hollabets, you've probably got a decent major league reliever in him. And the last piece, Marcus Phillips, he's still young, and you're waiting to see how he develops. But otherwise, Rodriguez is what could very much tip the scale in Boston's favor for this trade. So I guess it's just kind of wait and see when it comes to him. Especially since, like, someone like Rodriguez, nope, didn't want that to happen. That almost tipped over. That wouldn't have been good. Sorry about that. We're having some issues today. But someone like Rodriguez, he struggles with velocity. And that issue, it might increase as he moves up, because as he faces tougher pitching, velocity increases, and he's going to have to deal with that more and more. So that's something that you hope he can work on, especially this year as a 20-year-old in Greenville, which, again, he's still younger than the average player. So with that, though, like, I also think, like, unless he gets out of this funk, and with June starting in a few days, like, unless he can become a more consistent player at the plate, I honestly believe he'll be at Greenville for the whole season again. And if that happens, I think he's going to get passed on the depth chart, like, altogether. Maybe even traded at the deadline in a package. You never know with Breslow. Breslow, 1 year he can love someone, and the next year ship him on out. Though, little quick aside before we get into anything else. Like we mentioned Ianson. Just a quick little shout out. He was pitcher of the week for the Eastern League in AA. 5 no-hit innings, which we'll do that. We mentioned that last time. But to get going again, let's stay on topic. Just wanted to throw that little tidbit out that he won pitcher of the week. Outside of Greenville, friend of the site, Jason Gilman. Oh, man, I am having a hard time speaking today. He pitched very well in his latest outing. For those who don't get it, Gilman isn't actually a friend of the site, or at least I don't want to say he is and then upset him. But we did get to interview him. Very nice guy. If you haven't watched that interview, I would go and check it out. It's on both the website and the YouTube page. He's a real nice guy. Very interesting to learn about his time in college and what led up to him getting drafted. But with it, he was a 16th round pick for those who don't know him, and he's appeared in 5 outings with Salem and has done well, I would say, in 4 out of the 5. Overall, he's thrown 14 2/3 innings for the team, and he's struck out 22 while allowing just 3 earned runs. Opening the season, he was in extended spring training, and then he gets added to Salem. I want to say it was like mid-April. He makes 3 appearances out of the bullpen, and then he gets moved to the rotation on May 15th. His first outing, not too much to write home about. He left in the 3rd after 60 pitches. It was like 2 2/3. He had given up 2 hits, 2 runs. Just not the best outing. But his second start, much better. He goes 4 2/3 innings on 69 pitches, and he allows just 1 unearned run on 2 hits and 2 walks while striking out 5. For listeners of the podcast, I've talked about Gilman before, and I still believe the bullpen is final destination. But for now, I do like to see him doing well. Like, I would be lying if I said, he shouldn't be pitching in the rotation. Let him get the innings, let him get the experience, and see how he develops. And he's another guy, I see him making it to Greenville at some point this season. And speaking of Salem, as we mentioned at the start of the episode, they lost a couple hitters in Heyman and Azocar. And because of that, the Red Sox, they called up Luis Andujar to fill it. Now, they lost 2 hitters, and they're only replacing it with 1 for the time being, so we'll see if there's a second transaction. But as of right now, Andujar, he was signed as a shortstop in international free agency last year. But despite that, he's mainly played third base in his professional career since being called up. Or I can't say called up, but since being signed. Last year in the DSL, he played it 21 times. And this year, he's appeared at the position 10 times while playing in the FCL. Offensively, I will say he showed that he didn't belong in the FCL any longer. In 15 games, he went on to hit .404, get on base at a .483 clip, and his slugging was .731. He had 8 doubles and 3 home runs, which, again, you can't really see much in the FCL because it's just clips that people who are down there put online. They don't have these games live that I know of. If someone does know where you can watch them online, let me know, because I wouldn't mind watching it. But for the most part, it won't hurt to see what this young hitter can do against tougher competition. I mean, he's hitting .400 in the FCL. Get him to Salem, see what he can do. Though, I am surprised they didn't bring up a catcher or outfielder, considering who they sent to Greenville. But, hey, the organization knows what they're doing for the most part. Because clearly, if they're bringing up Andujar, they must really like him and want to see what he can do against tougher competition. Though, like I said, he's only played in the DSL and the FCL, so I don't know much, if anything. Pretty much what I just read, or I can't say read, but what I just said was pretty much the extent of my knowledge on this kid. So we're going to have to wait and see how he does. With that, I kind of want to just end this week with a little bit about Worcester, because as you know, last week's episode, we talked about the first 3 games, so we're going to briefly summarize the last 3. Or I guess I could say the last 2 because Sunday's game got rained out. Friday was awful. Team fell behind 5-0 in the first, and it only got worse as the game went along. Ended up losing overall 12-1, though Nathan Hickey ended up coming in to pitch the 9th. Didn't have a very good outing this time around, but, you know, someone always has a bad time. Though, Nathan Hickey, you know, he's an interesting guy, which, speaking of him, there's a fun little article just recently went up on the site about his pitching. As everyone knows, he is a catcher and first baseman, but he offers to be the emergency pitcher for the team when they need a position player to throw. Which he goes out there, he's thrown about 87, 88, and when I talked to him, I said, "Are you trying to throw that?" And he said no. He's just kind of flicking it. He said in high school he could get up to 95. It's just, he's not a pitcher, so he's not trying to throw it as hard. He just wants to get it over the plate, and he said that if he tries to just throw it slow, like most position players, he doesn't know where it's going. So he's typically in, like, the low to mid-80s when he's throwing. Which, you know, makes for a fun time, at least when you're watching. Saturday, it went a little better. They still lost 7-5. But they gave themselves a chance to win in later innings. They, I forget exactly, I think they were down like 6-1 at one point, so they definitely made a comeback. But this is something that I did not notice until I heard it on the broadcast, which Thursday, after Worcester took a 4-0 lead in the first inning, they were outscored 28-6 for the remainder of the series. So from the second inning of Thursday's game until the end of Saturday, they were outscored 28-6. It was very much a case of running into a hot team while they're dealing with a roster that is in constant change. I mean, they constantly have pitchers that are going up to Boston or pitchers that they're told can't throw because in case Boston needs them. Like for Saturday, they brought up Michael Sansone from Portland. And I mean, like, literally, he shows up Saturday morning and, like, he ends up going out and pitching. He gives them, I want to say it was like 5 1/3 or 5 2/3 innings. And he gave them everything that he had after just driving all the way up to Worcester. Like, it's not like they're jumping on a plane and heading to Worcester like how they would for the majors. No, they're driving, which, depending on where they are, can make for a long drive, especially on a Saturday with possible traffic. But with that, the team's now heading to Scranton, which should be interesting and maybe a little more competitive in a sense. I don't want to say competitive. I want to say more equal balanced, because the last time the two teams met, the Woo Sox ended up taking the series 3-2, where the Saturday before Mother's Day got rained out. Though it was also a different team, as Worcester, as I mentioned, they continue to see pitchers being brought up and sent down and brought up and sent down and told, okay, you can't throw him or him. We need them on standby just in case. So it's a very different team. They are relying a lot on their relievers. But their rotation is starting to fill back in. Uberstein should hopefully be back soon if he responds well to his outing on Saturday, which he threw pretty much the standard 3-up. He did an up and down pretty much, where he went out and he faced roughly what was the equivalent of 3 batters, and then he was done for the day. So he looked good. Iggy Suarez said he looked good. It didn't look like he was too rusty or just trying to get back into rhythm. So hopefully he responds well to that, and he is activated pretty soon because Worcester needs him, and it wouldn't hurt Boston's depth to have another pitcher back. But like I said, it's all going to come down to waiting and seeing how things go. So with that, we're going to end the episode here. If you enjoyed the episode and you're watching on YouTube, please leave a like, comment, and share. Also, if you're not subbed yet, please do that as well. Oh, I am so sorry for butchering up stuff right now. We're going to continue to try and grow this channel, and it would mean a whole lot if you were able to sub and share the video. If you're listening elsewhere, please share it as well, as it helps our site grow. And once more, thank you again for taking the time to listen, and until next time, have a nice day.